The four-player co-op psychological horror game Phasmophobia continues to dominate our desktops and nightmares. It seems gamers love nothing more than getting scared with their friends or watching their favorite streamers get absolutely terrified by some not-so-friendly ghosts. Ahead of the new Cursed Hollow update, we sat down with the developers at GDC to discuss the game's ongoing success and haunting future that lies ahead.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Daniel Knight. I'm the CEO and lead developer at Kinetic Games.
Hi, I'm Asim Tanvir, lead marketing and partnerships manager at Kinetic Games.
We can start with a quick show of hands. Who believes in ghosts? Oh,
There you go.
right. I like it. I got some controversy. Do you have personal experience, like some kind of ghost encounter you kind of about?
I think the one I like to speak about is there's a hotel in LA, which is, I think it was where the Black Dahlia murders took place. I stayed there 1 year at E3, and in my room at night, I felt that there was a presence kind of hovering around me, and it was known for that anyway, like just because of the murders that took place there. So I think that's probably the experience that sticks in my mind. It was like I felt something there. I was like, I'm not gonna look. So I'll just wait until the morning and then look at it. But yeah, that was probably the experience that I remember. Yeah, that's me. Dan doesn't.
Daniel, more of a skeptic?
Yeah, no, not really. I think we've been planning on going on ghost hunts and things like that just to get a proper feel for it. So maybe after that I'll believe, but yeah, not currently.
We'll make you believe, yeah, don't worry. Yeah.
So you launched Phasmophobia in 2020. Yeah, I think it was in September. Yeah. And by Halloween, it had really, completely blown up. How did that match your expectations when you launched the game? Did you think it would be that big of a success?
No, not even close. I planned to sell maybe 1,000 copies over about a year. So I had really low expectations. By the end of the first day, I think I sold 10,000 or something like that. And then it was an exponential growth. So after the first week, about 100,000. And then by Halloween, I think we were well over close to 2 million. I think we were at that time. So it just completely took off.
And now you're up to...
We are currently around 20...
Just below 23 million, yeah, so we're getting there, yeah.
What was kind of the reaction, in the office with the team when things were happening we're selling more copies than pre-orders for Cyberpunk, which is probably the most anticipated game of the decade, and you were outselling them. What, on a day-to-day basis, what was the feeling for the team?
Yeah, I mean, for the first 8 months after release, I was still just a solo developer. It was just completely crazy. Phasmophobia is my first game. I've never experienced anything like this before. Even now, it's still a bit unbelievable. But I love every second of it.
How big was the team at the time of launch?
Yeah, it was just me on my own.
It was just you, all alone. Okay, so when it blew up like that, you expanded. How big is the team now?
Yeah, so about 12 months ago, we were still only 5 people. Now we're at, I think, around 24 people. So we've been growing quite a lot over the past 12 months. We're still going to be growing this year. I think that the target for us is to stay around 30 people, but that's constantly changing. If you asked me 12 months ago where we'd be, I'd have said about 10 people. We're going in the right places, just where we need people. We're going to try and sit around 30.
Yeah, it's quite crazy. When I joined, I think I was the 11th or 13th hire, and now we're 20 odd people. So the growth has been incredible. Yeah, testament to Dan's work really in terms of how he's done with the game.
We've seen from time to time an indie game with a very small team, for instance, Valheim, get very popular, so many players, and it kind of, for them, I know it changed their kind of plan of updates and releases just because with that size of a player base, it kind of throws all your plans out the window. Is that something similar happened with Phasmophobia?
When the game released, had a very small roadmap. It was just a couple maps, new ghosts, and new equipment. But because of the popularity of the game, which completely changed the roadmap, now we have a public roadmap that we share with the community. We have quite long-term plans. We do have a clear vision that we want to get to for the 1.0. But even when we get to 1.0, we're still going to be doing new content. Yeah, we take on community feedback, so we get a lot of it. But we still want to stick to our vision for the game.
horror games and co-op horror games, they're really kind of big on Twitch. People love seeing streamers screaming and freaking out and stuff. But a lot of them we see, they get popular very quickly, and then I wouldn't say nobody's playing them, but they're not that big and popular anymore. What would you say about Phasmophobia really contributed to it being not just like suddenly popular, but continuing to be popular, all this time later?
Yeah, I think the cooperative nature of the game, you can stand around with your friends to experience the horror together. You're completing the puzzle of the game together. But apart from that, I think ghost hunting is something that everybody kind of understands. Everybody thinks their house is haunted or something like that. So everyone, gets something relatable out of the game. But about our roadmap, we have quite a long roadmap. We're doing content updates for the game.
Yeah, I mean, to add to that, like, we keep the game, as Dan mentioned, we're keeping the game quite fresh with like regular content updates, fixes, etc. So in terms of like keeping the popularity with creators, as Dan mentioned, obviously it's a co-op ghost hunting game, so it's different every time you play it. So I think creators resonate with that. They, every time we have a content update, we kind of promote it on our socials. The content creators, we still get people reaching out to us asking for codes and keys to play the game, especially around Halloween time, obviously, as you'd expect. But the game has, I guess, a long tail in terms of even since 2020, like, content creators keep playing it. Even at the console launch in October last year, we were kind of up there on Twitch with like the big games. We had like 50K, 60K viewers, at one time during Halloween. So 5 years on, that's kind of unheard of. But again, it's a testament to the game and the updates the team's doing.
You just released a kind of overhaul of one of your, original maps, the farmhouse. Can you tell me what the kind of reception has been from the players, and also if you have plans to kind of go back and update or overhaul some of your other original maps?
Yeah, so before we did that rework, I think a lot of our players had a lot of concerns around us redoing maps rather than working on new maps. But as soon as it released, everyone was just so happy with it. It's now most people's favorite map, and everyone's now just super excited about what we're going to be doing in the future with the other reworks.
Yeah, just to add to that, the Leesdale rework has gone down supremely well. Like, as Dan mentioned, the community did have concerns. We love the old Leesdale, but once it came out, they've seen like how the map has been completely refreshed. It's like little clips we're seeing of like people going through the beads and the map, the bead curtain, and the extreme joy on their faces, see those little details. And the team's done incredible work with like the art and stuff on the map. So we've got more stuff coming, shall we say?
Yeah. Do you want to talk us through the rest of the 2025 roadmap and tell me what people can expect?
Yeah. So we got Chronicle update coming up. That's our next major release. That's going to be quite a big content and like feature update for the game. We're adding in new equipment, changing quite a lot as well. I think that's going to be quite an exciting update for the players. They're going to get a lot more out of the game. Plenty of other map reworks throughout the year, new maps as well. And then it's all leading up to we got our character customization update coming later in the year. And throughout this year as well, we're going to be working on what we're calling a Horror 2.0 update. That's quite a very big update and like a rework of essentially the entire game. So we're spending quite a long time working on that, and that's currently targeted for like early next year for that.
Now, Horror 2.0, I think if you ask most players, like, hey, what do you think about Horror 2.0? I feel like they might say, yeah, we've been hearing about this for quite a while. Is there anything specific that you can tell us that maybe the reason why it wasn't released as soon as you thought it would or as soon as you hoped it would?
Yeah, I think it's, we initially weren't planning to do so much with it. Now we're planning on potentially reworking the entire horror of the game. There's quite a lot of planning involved in that because it's also the main core aspect of the game. We need to be very careful with what we do. We have big plans for what we're going to be doing, so it just takes a long time. And with the growth of our team as well, we needed to get the right people in to be able to work on that. So we recently hired a character artist. We really needed to grow the team first before we could really start tackling that.
Can you give me like a specific example? You're saying you need to kind of rework the entire horror, like just one specific example of like what is there now that you think needs to be fixed or changed?
Yeah, I think one of the main things is like the ghost events. At the moment, they're quite simple. We want to change the ghost events so they're kind of like a set piece sort of animation. So there'll be quite a few different things happening, and we're planning on changing the hunting as well. That's going to be quite a massive change, but yeah, I can't reveal too much on that.
I would say, like, since you released, what would you say the biggest bit of kind of player request? Is there anything specific that players are like, we want this, and is it something that they might see sometime soon?
Yeah, I mean the biggest one is mod support. We're getting asked about it constantly. We've been pretty hard on that, so just to say no for quite a while. I wouldn't say it's completely not an option. We are looking into ways of doing that, but we need to make sure that the final game is what we want it to be, and it sticks with our vision. If we do end up adding mod support, we just need to be very careful with what we do.
Yeah, we want to bring it in at the right time. And as Dan mentioned, we've got a long roadmap ahead before Horror 2.0 and 1.0. So yeah, I think there'll be some exciting stuff with that. But I think another thing we see from players is kind of IP collabs and kind of crossovers, etc. It's something we're always kind of looking at, but we want to do what fits within Phasmophobia and not just anything. So we are kind of looking at that, but nothing to announce at this moment yet.
In terms of VR support, it's been a VR game. In the past several years has, I feel like VR is kind of always changing and improving, and has that been something that you've had to adapt to since launch?
Yeah. So when the game released, we supported, at the time it was called OpenVR, which is now very old. Because of the popularity of the game, I had to just completely rework the whole VR system about a year after release. So now we can support all the new headsets coming out, and there's obviously new technology coming out for VR all the time, especially around like PSVR 2. There was quite a lot of new features there that we had to support, and there's new headsets that are still coming out. Quite a challenge, but we're well up for it. The game was originally just a VR only game when I was first developing it. I then ported it over to non-VR. So the game is a VR game at its core. So we're still going to be continuing the VR support. Yeah.
Do you think the VR scene is still healthy? Is it still? I feel like since maybe Half-Life Alyx, we haven't seen a major AAA game that I can really think of. Do you think it's still a really healthy kind of side industry in gaming?
Yeah, there's not major releases every month. There are a couple coming out. I think the last one was Batman VR. I think that was quite a big one. But yeah, when we did our console release, we had a massive influx of PSVR 2 players. So still have a lot of VR players playing. But yeah, I still think VR is in a good place.
I mean, just to add to that, yeah, when we launched on PlayStation, on PSVR 2 obviously as well, there was a huge amount of positivity. We had Reddit threads of oh, this game's amazing in VR, playing it for the first time. So I think, yeah, there's a healthy VR scene out there. I think Phasmophobia coming out on PSVR 2 has kind of helped boost that on PlayStation VR as well. So that's really nice to see.
Do you have a sense of what percentage of, say, people on PC use VR?
Yeah, we don't have any hard numbers, but we're assuming it's around 2%.
Phasmophobia continues to lure players in with its frequent updates from the passionate team at Kinetic Games. But how are you feeling years after Phasmophobia's release? Are you still screaming at the monitor thanks to the realistic spirits? For more on Phasmophobia and all your horror game needs, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned to PC Gamer.